Mystery of the Divine Mother, Seal of the Divine Mother. The mystery and seal of the Divine Mother is the wisdom of the truth that shows the pre-existence of the female or feminine before the beginning, the truth that shows the pre-existence of the woman before the creation. The mystery and seal of the Divine Mother gives us understandings and fresh insights into key details in the First and Second Testaments. It gives us a clear way of seeing the truth that has been hidden in plain sight. This mystery and seal shows mankind that the woman, the female, the feminine was eternal and pre-existent before the creation. It shows that there is a divine and perfect example or standard of what a woman is and means. The Divine Mother is the knowledge that there is a perfect woman nature that all women come from, and there is that same perfect woman nature that all women will return to and become. The mystery and seal of the Divine Mother gives us the total and truthful understanding of what the God, the Creator, really is. It draws upon Genesis and all the books from the First and Second Testaments to unveil the vision that God the Creator is the perfect union of male and female, the perfect harmony of masculine and feminine. It shows us that our Creator that is eternal, the same yesterday, today and forever, was before the creation not only the perfect man, male or masculine, but also the perfect woman, female or feminine. It shows us that the Creator was never just male or never just female, because just male or just female is not complete and therefore not perfect, and if not complete and perfect then not God. The Creator was always male and female in perfect marriage, husband and wife in perfect union. Man and woman fused into one body, soul, and spirit. The Creator is two halves of one whole, therefore the mystery and seal is to remind us of half of the Creator. Therefore the wisdom of the Divine Mother is to both give life and voice to half of the Creator and to half of the creation, namely the daughters of God. So we can see that the mystery and seal of the Divine Mother is to set in motion the restoration of the image of the woman, to return the memory to all mankind of the beauty and majesty of the vision of our Divine Mother, to confirm the image and standard of the woman that all daughters of God can aim and aspire to, and to revive and establish the authority and action that all of God's daughters bear and represent half of the Creator. All God's children, male or female, are equal in the sight of their God. For the mystery and seal of the Divine Mother is part of the Third Testament. The Third Testament completes two other testaments and becomes the eternal gospel, and the eternal gospel is a gift for all mankind. Every race, every tongue, young or old, male or female. Above all, the eternal gospel is not only for all mankind, but by its truth and its nature it restores and makes everyone, all mankind, equal, equal where no one ranks above anyone else, equal where all are equal before God, equal where all people are one, equal so there is nothing between a child of God and the God-parent, equal so that mankind becomes one family again, equal so we all return home together. We can now state that the Divine Mother is the source of all that was, is and always will be good in women. The Divine Mother is the standard of the perfect wife, mother, daughter, and will eternally represent all that is good in women. Now that we have established the pre-existing eternalness of the Divine Mother, we can see some of the mysteries of her appearance and works. We can see some of the earliest visions and symbols of her being. Like the tree of life, the tree that bears all manner of fruit, the tree that mankind lost access to and death entered all of creation. The tree that the flaming sword bars the way to, then the place where the sword was, the place where two brothers came to give offerings, one of fruit, one of the slain firstborn. One saying, I still get fruit without you, one saying, without you I live in blood. The place where one brother murdered and one brother was murdered, the place where the blood of the lamb was covered by the blood of a son, the place that remembered the loss of the tree, the place forgotten by the line of Cain, the place remembered by the line of Adam, the place of offering that became the place of sacrifice, a sacrifice to remember losing the way to the tree of life. The blood of a firstborn lamb, the blood of a son. This was how mankind remembered the loss of the way to the tree of life, the loss of the way to the Divine Mother. And mankind's first baptism was complete, the baptism of earth was done. And the earth shook and the skies poured and the baptism of water began. Now Noah from the line of Adam remembered the truth of what the blood of the Lamb and the Son means. And because he remembered, he became the bearer of God's truth and carried it through mankind's first judgment, then established it again. We see the symbols of the Divine Mother in an ark of wood sealed inside and out, a dove that carries a piece of a tree, the tree, and a rainbow in the sky with all 7 colors. A man came next who was Abram, whom became Abraham, a man whom also was called to be the bearer of a memory that went back to the garden and the tree of life, A man whose walk was filled with the symbols that went back to the garden and the Divine Mother. Went back to the tree of life and the blood shed at the flaming sword, the blood of a firstborn lamb and the blood of a son. We see how Abraham was called back to the place where the sons of Adam sacrificed before the flaming sword, the place where Abel's blood fell, the place where mankind remembered losing the way to the tree of life. We see the symbols in the Melchizedek, the king priest of Salem that became Jerusalem. The king priest whom was the last of the order of the flaming sword, the last offering sacrifice at the same place that the sons of Adam did. The last offering sacrifice where Abel's blood fell and cried out from, the king priest whom had no father and mother because the father and mother's presence was what was lost in the fall of mankind. The king priest whose throne was on Zion and whose altar was on Moriah, the king priest to whom Abraham gave his first sacrifice and received the wisdom and memory of the tree of life and the Divine Mother. Melchizedek that would later be remembered by a throne of David at Zion, and remembered by the altar of Levi at Moriah. Abraham whom had now sacrificed to the Divine Mother through Melchizedek received life and blessings in the form of that which his heart cried out for. He received a son and heir. A son of promise and blessings, Isaac. Again in the simplest of symbols we see the memory of the Divine Mother and the tree of life in the trial and testing of Abraham when he is called by God to take his son Isaac to Mount Moriah and sacrifice him. We see the symbolism of how a ram replaced the sacrifice of a son, just as before the flaming sword a son had replaced a ram. In this we are shown what we are really sacrificing to and where the original sacrifice was made. The symbols continue through Isaac, and through Isaac's son Jacob, and through Jacob's sons whom become the 12 tribes of Israel. They are seen in the times of Moses a descendant Levi whom was a son of Jacob. They are seen in the staff of Aaron, carried by Moses, carried by Joseph, carried by Jacob, carried by Isaac, carried by Abraham, carried by Shem, carried by Noah. Carried back through all Adam's sons, carried by Seth, carried by Adam. The staff that symbolized the tree of life. The staff that came in the ark through the flood, the staff that carried the memory of the Garden of Eden. The staff that consumes serpents, the staff that brings forth water from stone. They are seen in the staff that holds up a bronze serpent that cures the bite and venom of the serpent. The staff that holds back armies, the staff that budded and came to life, the staff of life. We see the symbolism in the 2 tablets brought down by Moses, 2 tablets of 10 standards of life, the 2 tablets that were a contract of life. A contract of not what would happen if you break the contract, but rather a contract of what you will inherit if you keep and uphold the contract. We see the symbolism of manna from heaven, we see the meaning of God providing from outside this world, a provision from beyond the cursed land. We can see God acting for us. In these symbols we see the Divine Mother, a mother who loves us, a mother who has never taken her eyes off us, a mother who has watched every stumbling step that mankind her children has made and been upholding through every step. We can see a Divine Mother who has been there whether we knew it or not. Through Moses we are given the name Yahweh which is different than the names of God before then. Before then mankind had the name El which is parent creator. From El mankind had the names Eloha which is father creator, and Elohim which is mother creation. With Moses comes the name Yahweh which means covenant God. It can also be simply understood as the God of intercession. Yahweh is mankind giving voice and name to the understanding that the staff of Aaron from Adam is the memory and wisdom that sacrifices a sacrifice that is to the Divine Mother for the loss of access to the tree of life. The 2 tablets are the memory and the wisdom of the reward and inheritance mankind will receive if they trust the Divine Mother and follow her promises. The manna in the wilderness is a living example that the Divine Mother will act and provide above and beyond the curse that Adam and Eve received in the fall. The symbols of the staff, the tablets and the manna, together with the name Yahweh all pave the way for the tabernacle. All of these symbols are the signs of the Divine Mother. The sacrifice that began at a flaming sword, the promise that was given when mankind left Eden, a God that was interceding for mankind would now be seen and symbolized by the name Yahweh in the vision of the tabernacle. The tabernacle, the covering, the place of giving sacrifice, the place of receiving blessing. The only place to speak to God, the only place to hear God, the first place to see God since the fall. The tabernacle, the place of the Mother, her dwelling place. The tabernacle, the only place where sins are cleaned and God intervenes for mankind. The tabernacle where sacrifice is made ready for baptism, one of earth, one of water, one of fire and one of air. Where the wisdom of baptism is revealed to mankind. Where the sign and the understanding that mankind shall be born of earth, washed by water, passed through flame and raised in the air. We see how the tabernacle sacrifice is the true story of mankind's origin and destination. At the heart of the tabernacle is the ark, a container lined inside and out, a container holding Aaron's rod, the 2 tablets of promise and the manna from the wilderness. The container that held the signs and the symbols and the meanings of mankind's walk until the tabernacle came. Above the container were 2 sons of God whose wings wrapped up and around to form a seat of rest, a seat where the Shekinah dwelt. The Shekinah, which is the cloud of her glory, the glory of the Divine Mother. The ark, a throne where a high priest came until the day that the one true king priest comes. Now the 12 tribes of Israel had grown into a nation of God's people, and the tabernacle was a mobile and portable dwelling that moved with the tribes until the promise that was given to Abraham and the promise that was given to Moses was fulfilled. This was the return to the promised land. After Moses came Joshua, and Joshua conquered many enemies and led the nation of Israel through the Jordan River and established borders for the people. But Joshua did not conquer the land of Jebu, the land of the Jebusites. The land where Abraham came to sacrifice Isaac, the land that was where the throne and altar of the king-priest Melchizedek sat. The land remembered by Shem and spoken of by Noah, the place where the 9 sons of Adam came to offer sacrifice before the flaming sword. The place where mankind first offered sacrifice before the flaming sword, the place where mankind first made sacrifice to losing the way to the tree of life. The place where the first blood of a son of God fell. And so Joshua gave the people of God a new border but didn't return the people of God to the place that called out to them, the place of sacrifice. And so the tabernacle was mobile and traveled with the people and waited with the people, waited to return to the place of sacrifice, waited to return home, where the tabernacle would wait for him to come. And so the tabernacle and the people waited, and judges and a king came and went, until a shepherd boy defeated a giant and became the king of the people of Israel. And David, this king whom had a heart like God, felt the call of sacrifice, the call that was drawing him and the people back to the place where sacrifice first began. And so David conquered the land of Jebu and the city of Jerusalem. David then built a fortress on Mount Zion and prepared all of the materials for another building to be built nearby on Mount Moriah. And David named this city Jerusalem, and the simplest understanding of the meaning of Jerusalem is the origin of peace, or the peace of origin. For it is in the foundations of Jerusalem that the true history of mankind is both spiritually and literally found. Jerusalem will be the resting place of God and their children, because it was in the beginning and will be in the end, the same yesterday, today and forever. So now the children of God had returned to the place where true sacrifice first began. Now the tabernacle could stop wandering and find rest. Now the tabernacle of sacrifice had returned to where the memory of the tree of life began. God's call of "Come home, my children," would continue from Jerusalem. And David had a son Solomon, whom also became king of Israel, and Solomon turned the fortress of Zion into a palace. And Solomon used the materials and the land prepared by David to build a temple on Mount Moriah, and now the tabernacle could find rest and find home. For the tabernacle was like the sapling of a tree that had been carried from one place to the next. Now that sapling could be placed in the soil and lay down roots. And so the tabernacle became the temple. All that the tabernacle symbolized was now seen in the temple. Therefore now we see that there was a temple and a palace, and each held a throne. The temple had a throne where 2 angels' wings formed a seat, a throne of wood lined inside and out with gold, the throne of sacrifice, the throne of forgiveness, the throne of the Divine Mother. The throne that can be traced back to the tree of life in the garden, the throne at the place of priesthood, the throne where the blood of the Lamb was sprinkled once a year by a high priest, the throne served by the sons of Levi. The palace had a throne of white ivory lined outside with gold and covered with colored gemstones, a throne held up by 2 pillars and armrests, a throne surrounded by lions and sitting on a 7th step. The throne of wisdom and judgment, the throne of the knowledge of good and evil. The throne of the Divine Father, the throne that can be traced back to the garden. The throne at the place of kingship, the throne where the oil of the olive was sprinkled once a year by the true prophet, the throne served by the sons of Judah. And now we see 2 thrones at the place where mankind fell. We see Jerusalem as a garden, and we see 2 thrones as 2 trees in the midst of that garden. But one thing we do not see in all this is him, for although a man can approach the throne of the Mother, and a man can sit upon the throne of the Father, there was no king-priest, there was no Melchizedek, there was no one worthy of sitting upon both thrones. And Israel warred with itself and split in two, and Israel warred with others and its borders fell. And Jerusalem held on and broke from within, and in the end the temple and the palace crumbled and went silent. God's children became slaves, then free, then slaves again. But the sons of Levi hung on to the memory of the mother's throne, and the sons of Judah kept alive the knowledge of the throne of the father. And the sons of God announced of him, the one who would come, the one who would come from both Levi and Judah, he who would come and sit upon both thrones, the king-priest, the Messiah, the Christ, the Son of God, the Son of mankind. The one who would lead all God's children home. Israel rebuilt and became a nation again, and we see a temple and a palace in the rebuilt Jerusalem, but they are a false temple and a false palace, for they were not a source of life to the people, instead they fed off the people like a wolf feeds upon a lamb. And so they became false priests and false kings. Therefore the true priests withdrew into the wilderness and kept alive the true memory of the mother's throne. Therefore the true princes withdrew into refuge and kept alive the memory of the father's throne. Therefore Levi and Judah would endure until both thrones are one. And then John, the last of Levi, the last true priest, came out of the wilderness to baptize in water. And a man of Judah named Jesus, who was Levi by blood and Judah by law, came to John and was baptized by water. And in that instant all of the authority of the mother came from below, and all of the authority of the Father came from above, and the Son was seen in glory. In that instant the priesthood of Levi ended, in that instant the kingship of Judah ended. They ended because the priest-king had arrived, they ended because their work was done, they ended because the time of the father and the mother was complete. Now would come the time of the son and the daughter. And so the wisdom of the Divine Mother, the tree of life, the First Testament, the olive trees is complete, and the wisdom of the Divine Daughter can begin. Here ends the baptism of water, let the baptism of fire begin.